Welcome back to another episode of College Hockey Talk. Today we are joined here by rising junior from the Quinnipiac women's ice hockey team, Lexie Adzija. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Lexie, and how are you doing?
Thanks for having me. I'm doing pretty good. It's nice and sunny here in Ontario, so good day.
Well, that's good to hear. And how's quarantine going, and what are you doing to prepare for this upcoming season?
Quarantine has actually been better for me than I would have expected. It's been a really big stepping stone and a lot of time to develop as a person and as a player. I know it kind of sucked. I'm just starting to get on the ice this week, but I had the opportunity to get on some fake ice, so definitely better than nothing. I got to work on my hands and my shot. And then I have a gym in my basement, so that's been super nice. So the lack of the gym wasn't really a thing for me, but I think just a lot of development happening, which has been awesome.
Have you discovered any new hobbies during quarantine?
I've been doing a lot more yoga, which I actually really like, and it happens to be really beneficial for hockey. So yeah, that's probably one thing I've picked up more.
Well, that's great. And as you might know, the Ivy League announced that they will not be having fall sports. And since some of the Ivy League is in the ECAC, I was just wondering if you heard anything from them about what next year might look like.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of controversy of basically what's going to happen. Um, from what we've heard, we're still hoping to have a season, and we're going to play out of conference games until January, and then hopefully some more teams in our conference will come back and we'll play in conference starting in January. But like you said, things are constantly changing daily, so I hope that that's still the case and we can still play, but it's kind of out of our control at this point.
Now, going back before Quinnipiac, I was just wondering, how did you start playing hockey, and is there any story behind it?
Yeah, so there's a funny story on how I learned to skate, but in terms of hockey, I have an older brother, and I used to go to the rink, and I played soccer and did gymnastics from when I was like really little. But I would go to the rink and watch his games all the time, and I'd constantly bug my parents saying like, I want to play, I want to play. So finally they got me some skates when I was, I think, 4. And when they put me on the ice, I wouldn't skate until my dad bought me Smarties, which is it's different in Canada. They're like chocolate things that I know in the States they're a little bit different. And so he would go to each line and hold it, and if I skated there, he'd like drop one through my cage. So that's how I learned to skate, which is actually really funny. So that's a good story. And then from there, I played a little bit with the boys until I was about 7, and then switched to girls hockey from there.
And growing up, who was your favorite hockey player?
Haley Wickenheiser, I think, being a Canadian female hockey player, she's someone that really helped grow the game for us and was someone that I looked up to and aspired to be for really as long as I can remember. You can see like the little Hockey Canada posters in the back, and I've had those in my room since I was like 10 years old, which is crazy, but yeah.
Was it cool to see her get inducted to the Hall of Fame a couple of years ago?
Yeah, no, that was awesome. I think it was really well deserved, and again, just like such an ambassador for women's hockey. And now she's I think she's in med school, going to be a doctor. So just someone who is obviously like big aspirations and really motivational, just not for hockey players, but for normal person as well.
Well, that's great. And before Quinnipiac, you played for the Oakville Hornets. What was it like to play for them?
Oakville was an incredible experience. I played with top players from all over. Sarah Fillier, she's on Princeton. Emma Malte, Jessica DiGeronimo, she's on Syracuse. Maddie MacArthur in the net, she's on BC. So, and literally the list goes on. I remember the year that I switched there, I played in London for 2 years, and then I switched over to Oakville. People really couldn't believe the roster we had. We had a ton of girls who had been invited to Team Canada camps or on our provincial teams, and it was an amazing experience just to play with such elite players at the level I was at. And then it was a big development year because obviously you're practicing with those players all the time. It just pushes you to get better, and great coaching and development there as well.
And speaking of Oakville, you won a league championship with that team as well. Describe that experience. What was it like to win that championship?
Yeah, honestly, it wasn't even just a championship. We won. So we were crowned Triple Crown that year. So basically you win the league, you win playoffs, and then you win provincials, which is the last thing. So that was a crazy experience. Not something that I thought what happened in my junior career, but again, we were really deep. Everyone wanted to work hard, so winning that was definitely a great accomplishment for our team, and a little bit of success is always nice as a player. It gives you some confidence, and I think it was really big for the program as well.
And you also got to play for the under 18 women's championship tournaments for Team Canada. What were those experiences like for you?
That has to be the best experience in my life to date. To put on the Canadian jersey is really something that I've dreamed about and worked for since I really started playing hockey. It was the main source of women's hockey that we got to watch every year was the Olympics. So taking a step in that direction and playing for the under 18 team and getting to experience Russia and the culture there was really incredible and a great experience, again, playing with amazing players and learning from the best coaching staff, the best strength coaches. Yeah, definitely the best experience of my life to date.
What was the biggest culture shock you experienced in Russia?
Um, so it's funny because I actually have a good friend that I met when I went to private school who's Russian, and she's like, like we are friendly, but we don't seem that friendly. There wasn't a lot of smiles, which is like coming from Canada, that's something we're definitely used to. Everyone smiles and says hi, but it's not them being rude. It's just like their culture. So I think that was something where you'd like smile at someone and they'd look at you like kind of strange.
Yeah.
But the people were really nice. That was just something that I noticed and I thought was just definitely different.
And how did playing in the PWHL and Team Canada help you prepare for college hockey?
Again, I think just the elite level of players and coaching staff that I was able to be surrounded by. And I went to private school in Appleby, so I got double the hockey. So it helps you with time management, I think. And yeah, just playing with those elite players and definitely the speed of the game, especially at the world's level. You get to play with the best players, and the speed of the game's a lot quicker. So going to college, I know that's something that they talk about a lot. That's a lot faster hockey, and a lot of people aren't ready for that. So I think both those experiences really helped me prepare for college.
Was the mental side of college hockey a tough adjustment? Because I've heard from other players that like you have to think and make quicker decisions. Was that something you noticed going in?
Yeah, I think the mental part on the ice and off the ice as well was definitely the biggest challenge for me. Freshman year was super hard on the ice. You come from a program where you were the top of your program, but now you're on a team with almost everybody who were the top of their programs, the top of their teams. And, you're expected to perform, and it's a big adjustment in systems. I think that was a really tough part. Just I'm playing on Quinnipiac's a very defense first team, and I'm used to going on the ice, just do your thing, do what you want, go play offense. And that's not really how it worked here. I played center my whole life. So I started out at wing when I came to Quinnipiac, and I had to adjust to that. So I think, yeah, the speed of the game is definitely definitely, definitely harder to adjust to. Sorry, my alarm's going off.
It's okay. Was there any player you played with in particular that stood out to you, like the most talented? Like since Team Canada has like a lot of the best college hockey players in the country, was there anyone that you played with that stuck out? It's like this player is going to be very good if I ever had the chance to play with them in women's hockey in college.
Yeah, definitely Sarah Philly. I played with her in Oakville, and with her on Team Canada. She goes to Princeton now. She's someone that growing up, we were always going back and forth, and we played on spring teams together, and it was always awesome to play with her. In Oakville, we got a few experiences to play together, and she's someone who's definitely thrived at the college level. She's done amazing, great person, great player on the ice. Yeah, so playing against her is a little bit different, but it's a good rival on the ice, and yeah, definitely someone. I think, honestly, the players I played with in Oakville, a ton of them have just done so well in college, which is like awesome to see. It just attests to our program at Oakville and the development we have there. So not just her, but literally if I think about my roster from those 2 years, it's crazy how well the players on that team are doing now in college.
Now going back to your college hockey, describe your recruiting process and what made you want to play for Quinnipiac.
So my recruiting process, Quinnipiac was actually the first school that recruited me, and I was in the beginning of my grade 9 years. So I was really young, and I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life, or like if I wanted a big school, small school, medium school. I had literally 4 years before I got to go to school. So I toured a bunch of different schools, like very small, very big, and I wasn't sure really what I wanted. And I think what drew me to Quinnipiac was just the coaching staff and their culture. And I spoke to a few girls on the team, and it was obvious that hockey is definitely a big part of the school. We don't have a football team like a lot of schools. So hockey and basketball are basically it for us. And that was really attractive to me. You know, the money's going into those programs. And for me, I'm going for hockey. So I want the best experience possible for me. And our facilities were crazy good. And then the academics were also a plus. So I think I actually made an Excel sheet with my dad of pros and cons of like every school I toured and things that really mattered to me, and I rated them all on a scale of 1 to 10. And so that's how I got my top 5, and then from there I toured them all again. And Quinnipiac stood out for me, and they're a top contender from the start. But I'm really happy with my decision.
Now, I want to talk about this past season. Your team won the Nutmeg Classic. What was it like playing in that tournament and winning it as well?
I think for our team, that was just a really big stepping stone and a little bit of taste of success. We had a little bit of a hard start to the season, so coming back and winning that nutmeg was a great feeling. And to hold a trophy is something that every team wants, and it was definitely a good stepping stone to making it into the Frozen Four, which obviously this year was impossible, but getting a little bit of taste of victory definitely motivates you a little bit more.
And your team did unfortunately lose against Princeton in this year's ECAC quarterfinals. What did you take away from that series, and how will you use it to help you for next year?
Um, from that series, I think something our whole team learned was just being ready to play right from the start. The first game wasn't really the outcome that we wanted. But after that, we came back and we won in overtime in the second game. And for us, that was a huge step. And if you looked at where our team started at the beginning of the year to where we finished at the end of the year, we were in top 10 for a few weeks in a row. And Princeton's a great team. And at the end of the day, we had a good competition. We gave them a good run for their money. And I think looking back as a team, we just want to start better. And maybe if we started better, we would have had, a better chance at winning that series. But again, we finished it strong. We left everything on the ice. There was a lot of overtimes in that last game. It was a tough series. It was a battle. So I think we were happy with how we performed, except for that first game was a little bit tough. But after that, we were able to bounce back. So I think we learned that, you know what, even if you do have a tough game, you can bounce back, but you got to also be ready to play from the start, especially in a playoff setting.
Did feel good though. I know it might sound weird to lose against Princeton because they did beat Cornell, who is one of the best
Yeah.
teams in the country. Like
I
against a team that is like a top contender in the women's tournament this year.
Yeah, no, I think for us, just looking at that, it really showed that we were right there. And that's how it was a lot of the games this year. We lost to Cornell 1-0 one of the games. And, that's where we were. It was just like we were almost there. Like if we had maybe a few more weeks, but we were almost there. And for us, that's just like awesome to see because we had a great senior class that helped us get back into the top 10. And we have some great incoming classes coming in the next few years. So for us, we're back in that top 10 where we want to be. And so I think it's only up from here. So yeah, honestly, it was a really good feeling at the end of the season just to say, like, look where we started and look where we finished. And at Quinnipiac, we always say that we get better faster than any other team in the nation. And I think, we really did that this year, looking at how we started the year and how we finished the year. Even though it wasn't necessarily the outcome that we wanted, I think we still performed really well.
And what are some of your goals personally for you next year or for the next 2 years?
I think for me is just I want to hit 40 points. I think that's something that's really doable for me. The last 2 seasons, I think freshman year is stuck in, just transition and stuff like that. This past year was a lot better season for me. I think Team Canada is also a big goal for me in the next couple of years. And then as a team, we want to make the Frozen Four, be in that top 8. And obviously I want to be an impact player and help make that happen, and just be a big leader on my team, be positive, help the younger girls with their transition, because that's definitely something that I struggle with freshman year. So definitely being the leader, those 40 points in Hockey Canada are my goals.
Now, talking about your freshman year to your sophomore year, what was the biggest thing that you noticed that you developed better throughout those first two seasons?
Definitely my mental side of things. I think for me, it was a lot to handle. I thought that I was more prepared than I was when I went in. I think hockey wise I was prepared, but mentally I wasn't prepared for how hard college hockey is. And yeah, so I had to do a lot of work in terms of confidence stuff. I read a lot of books, worked with our strength coach. He's really knowledgeable. So I think for me, it was just a lot of work on the mental side and working on things like goal setting, stuff like that. And that was the biggest transition, I'd say, from freshman year to sophomore year, because I actually wasn't even able to skate my summer going into my sophomore year because I had surgery at the end of my freshman year. So for me, it was just a lot of work on the mental side of things, which I think definitely paid off.
Now, speaking of playing in the ECAC, they have many cool arenas there. What in particular is your favorite road arena to play in?
I really like playing at Harvard. I think just playing Harvard in general, we always have a great game, and the atmosphere of the arena is also awesome. So I'd say I really like playing at Harvard.
Now, we're going to the segment in the podcast where I call it the non-hockey segment, where we ask you some non-hockey questions. My first one is, your school is in Connecticut, and obviously Connecticut is known for really good pizza. What, in your opinion, has the best pizza in Connecticut?
Um, I haven't been to Sally's. This is probably really bad since I lived there for 2 years. I hear it's really good. Pepe's is also
Yeah.
really good pizza. Yeah, I love that one. Yeah, it is known for the pizza. I have to try more, but our team just goes to Pepe's a lot, so that's kind of where I end up.
Now, staying on the topic of food, you said in an interview that breakfast is your favorite meal of the day. What is your favorite breakfast food?
Um, I love eggs, literally in any form. It's kind of weird, but like whenever we go for breakfast, I usually get 2 eggs, easy over, with some hash browns or like potatoes on the side. So that's like my go-to in the morning.
And what is your favorite TV show to watch or binge?
I just watched Ozark, and that was actually like an awesome show. So I would highly recommend Ozark.
I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard a lot of good things about it. And what music do you listen to before a game?
Um, I honestly listen to some old rock, or like some pump up, like Eminem, big Eminem fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who controls the aux for the team?
This year, which isn't really normal, we had a freshman
Oh, really?
control the aux. Yeah, she's pretty good actually, Alexa Hoskins. So she kind of took that role, and everyone liked her music. So I think that'll probably stick for the next few years that she's here.
Well, that's weird. I've never heard of a freshman controlling the aux.
I
But
know.
speaking on the
That's
team,
a
who
bit
do you
different.
think is the funniest on Quinnipiac?
The funniest on our team, I would probably say Gabby Vitelli. She's pretty funny. She's my year. Yeah.
And who has the best style on the team?
On ice style or off ice style?
It doesn't
Or
matter.
both?
Or both, yeah.
On ice style, I'd probably say from this past year, Katie Tabin our captain had some really good style on the ice. Off the ice is a little bit all over the place. Everyone kind of has their own. I don't know if I could choose one for that, but definitely Tabin or Zoe Boyd, I'd say they both have pretty good style on the ice.
Now, getting back to some hockey questions now, I want to ask you this. What do you think people need to do to help grow women's college hockey?
I think just spread awareness. A lot of people expect women's hockey to be the exact same as men's hockey, and as we both know, it's really not. We don't have hitting. It is more physical than people think, but also people expect to come watch a women's game and for it to be the exact same as a men's game, which it really isn't. We do have a high-speed game, but the way we play is different. So I think just awareness of the game, that it's also good hockey, but it's different, and that there are talented girls as well. I think a lot of times people think of girls hockey and think of it just as, oh no, like girls hockey is worse, and they expect either to be the same as men's hockey, but think we're girls, so we can't play like that. But yeah, so definitely awareness. I know the PWHPA is a movement right now that's going on, and it's really growing women's hockey. So I think that, and with the NWHL growing, that'll be a big step in the right direction, hopefully. But definitely awareness and just different expectations. Obviously, people are still allowed to have high expectations for us, and we want that. But it is a different game than the men's game.
Yeah, for me personally, when I went to my first women's college hockey game, I noticed that you guys had to rely on your speed and skill more than the physicality, since you
Yeah.
can't really hit. And I think that if a lot of people saw that, I think they'll really appreciate your game.
Yeah, thank you.
And which hockey player do you try to model your game after?
Honestly, so I'd say it's back in I honestly couldn't pick one person. I try and play a little bit of a more physical forward game, but I also like to put the puck in the net. Someone I really like to watch in terms of like style and puck protection is Crosby, and then Tavares as well in terms of his like he plays big physical, but he can also put the puck in the net. So I think both of them have a little bit of different style, but I like to pick pieces off of different players. So I don't think there's one player I necessarily try and model because I do play that power forward role, but I'm also expected to put some points on the board. So yeah, I'd say a mix of some different players.
Now, being an upperclassman next season, what type of leadership do you hope to bring to some of the younger players on Quinnipiac?
Um, Obviously, like I said, helping with the transition, but also being a role model and a hard worker that people can look up to. I think that college hockey, if you want to get somewhere and you have goals, you have to put in extra work outside of practice and normal weight rooms. So I think helping girls realize that and maybe bringing a few along with me to do some extra work and leading by example and just being that energy and positivity in the room. That's definitely what I want to do next year.
And how hard is it to balance both hockey and academics? Because I feel like I only do academics. I don't play a sport in college, but I feel like it would be very hard to try to balance both.
I think because I've been playing for so long and I've been used to like going all the time. Like for as long as I remember, I'd play like a high school sport. I'd play volleyball or basketball, and I'd go from there after school to hockey practice. And I get back at let's say 9 o'clock at night and I have to do homework. And you wake up and you do it all again. So I think we learned time management. And when I came to college, I started with a normal course load. So I took 5 courses, and then I honestly found that I had time. So I decided to accelerate. So I take 7 courses a semester.
Wow.
So I'm doing my MBA and undergrad in 4 years, which you'd normally get your graduate in the fifth. But so I'm accelerated, and that's definitely challenged me, but I've always been one that likes a challenge. So I think we learn time management, and that's just kind of your life. You're used to going all the time. So I actually found that I had a little more time, which some people may not agree with that. But I'm definitely challenged now by the 7 courses. But if you're someone that struggles with time management, then it definitely would be really tough.
Well, my last question for you before we let go is, what is your favorite hockey memory?
Definitely playing for Team Canada in Russia. That's for sure my favorite hockey memory to date. Or I'd say growing up in Canada, there's a lot of ponds that freeze. So I was always there with my brother, friends playing pond hockey, which is also like a great experience and a great memory growing up.
Do you have any particular ones at Quinnipiac?
At playing at Quinnipiac, I think definitely the nutmeg and going to Ireland. We had a
Oh,
great experience in Ireland. Yeah, we got to go in January. So that was definitely an incredible experience that to travel to Ireland with your team and play a few games. And they were really welcoming there. So yeah, those are definitely 3 experiences and memorable moments.
well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I appreciate it very much. I wish you and your team all the success for next year, and I hope to see you guys in person sometime soon.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Have a nice day.
You too.